Welcome to our podcast, number 2. We thank you for tuning in before for the other two episodes we had. And we thank you for subscribing and liking. And also, we are introducing ourselves here again. My name is Erasmo. You can call me Raz. And this is my wife, Vilma.
I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I've been here since I was 11 years old, and this is home to me. And you are from where?
I'm from Brazil. And I've been here 40 something years. I'm almost 40 years. And I speak Portuguese, and my wife speaks,
Español,
and we both speak
Portu- Portoñón.
and Spanglish. We're from Miami, so we kind of go back and forth. But we're going to try to do it in English today, and thank you so much for being here with us. And in the second episode, we're going to talk about my heart attack, my first heart attack. So, anything you have to add to that?
Well, I think that what you're going to share with the audience today is something very important because when you start having those heart issues, it wasn't that our doctor was a mean guy. It was just that when he found out what happened, he goes, I would have never thought that that was a possibility that you would have heart issues so young. And I think you can explain to the audience better than I can. Since when you started realizing there was something with you in back at home in Brazil?
Well, I never realized it until I had it, but I can, thinking back on my youth, I
Mm.
can go back when the time I was in the army, and I was there for a year, but I could see that times when we had to do exercise and do the running, especially, I was always lagging behind. Of course, I was a little bit overweighted, but I was like 18. I played soccer on the beach and stuff like that. But I could not keep up with the guys. So that was one thing that I can think of. And also moving forward a little bit, when I was about 20, I got out of the army and I applied for a job to work on the Brazilian national oil company, Petrobras. And I was going to work offshore, making some good money for that time and for my age. But to say the least, I passed the test, the written test, and I was called to do the medical test, which was about 3 days, and it was about everything, because they have to check you and see if you're fit to go offshore, and if the doctor can sign off for you, and finally they took a year to let me know, but they said no. The doctor said I cannot sign off for you because you have high blood pressure, and then something happens to you, I'm responsible. So moving forward, I moved to America, and then when I was about 49 years old in 2015, I had the first episode, which we can call the heart attack. But moving back a little bit, I was doing some exams because I was feeling already a little bit tired, and I thought it was the age, 49, I'm growing old, but I didn't think I was that old. But the doctor, my primary doctor, did some exams, and he thought he started with the lungs because I work in construction. I was exposed to dust and stuff like that, so they thought I was having shortness of breath, and to say the least, things were, okay with my lungs. But all of a sudden, a couple of months maybe after those tests, I had a heart attack. But I want to say something to you. I want to say that I didn't know anything about heart attacks, and I just want to say that sometimes it can be misleading when you having those symptoms, especially when the incident happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
It was that I was working in an island down here. We are from Miami, and down in the Keys,
The entrance to the Key Ocean Reef.
Ocean Reef, which is a private neighborhood, and it has their own gated community, and it's hard access. My wife could not go there, and she'll explain to you why she was so desperate. But anyways, I had lunch because I took lunch with me, and I was with a couple of guys working, and we had a lunch break, and I ate my food, and I started feeling really bad, and the guys looked at me and said, "Dude, you're not looking good." And I said, "Yep, I'm not feeling good either." So I had to get up and stretch, put my hands in the air, and then I was sweating cold. I had so much pain on my chest, and it felt like a balloon, and some pain on my right arm, which I never thought it would be the heart because your heart is on your left side. So, but anyways, that's how he went down. You know, it doesn't mean that you're gonna have the same symptoms, but that's how he played out with me. So, uh, I thought it was the food that I ate, so I stuck my finger through my throat and vomit what I needed to get out because I thought I was gonna get better. And I sat in my van for a while, and then I called my wife, and she was like, "Oh man, call the ambulance." And I said, "Oh no, I can't leave my van here. They're gonna tow it, and I have no place to leave it." And so, anyways, I rested a little more and drove myself out of there, and then I even went to the bank once I got here back home and tried to cash a check. I did cash the check, and the cashier looked at me and said, "Sir, you don't look good." And I said, "Yeah, I don't feel good," because I was barely holding on to the desk that I was, in the bank over there. So I came home, I took a shower, and I could not get dressed. My wife dressed me up, and then we rushed to the hospital, and
No, think about it. You don't know you're having a heart attack.
yeah,
You drove yourself.
yeah,
You went to a bank to cash a check, which
yeah.
is ludicrous. I mean, what a maniac. And then you want to take a shower like the shower was going to heal you? I don't understand that
No,
logic.
because I was dirty. I'm in working construction, and I don't want to go to the hospital. I don't know how long I'm gonna stay there. I want to be
Oh,
clean.
okay, that's beginning to make sense, but you're running towards the clock here. And then when I saw him that he couldn't get dressed, my I had to become an ambulance driver, and I didn't feel like he had the way he looked enough time to be waiting for an ambulance, and the hospital is not too far either. I mean, it's not too close either. So I drove into the hospital, and then
You know, they take you right in because I had chest pain, and that's a protocol. If you have chest pain, you have heart issues, and you go in. AKG, and then they kind of didn't give us the result. We were there in the emergency for a while, and I explained the same symptoms I had to the doctor that was there on duty. She was a young lady. She probably looked like my daughter, but nevertheless, she was a doctor according to them.
what you
And
mean by that? She's at the age that she could have been your daughter. She didn't look like
exactly,
us.
she looked like you know, yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I explained to her, and then she said maybe you have indigestion by what you
Mm.
describing to me. But they hooked me up in just in case, because you're saying that you have pain in your chest. So, anyways, they did hook me up and did some blood drawing, whatever they do, and meanwhile it was late already, and then I told my wife, I don't know how long it's gonna be, and then we're still in the emergency. There's no place for you to stay. You can go home. I feel better. I was feeling better. I was in bed, and they gave me IVs, and you know, nothing too different than it was before. I mean, it was kind of normal. Anyway, so she decided to go home, but before that, she went to the cafeteria
Because he loves to eat a lot, and he was feeling better, and he wanted to eat something. And dumb me.
because I missed the food time in the hospital.
Oh,
They didn't
Allah.
give me any food. So, anyways, she took off, went home. I stayed there for
After
a
I
while.
got him a
A
sandwich
sandwich,
from the cafeteria in
but
the
I didn't eat
hospital.
right away. I just left it there and I said, whenever I feel like it, I'll eat it. So, about an hour or so, I started eating the sandwich. It was an egg sandwich or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And long and behold, I started feeling the same symptoms again. So it was like, okay, it's related to
Wow.
food. But, I pulled all the cables they put on me, they hooked me up with, and had to get out of bed and stand up and stretch myself because the pain was unbearable. And they came running because of the machinery, the computer go like berserk. And they came, kind of
Mm.
really getting down on me and saying, sir, you cannot do that. Why are you doing that? And I said, do you think I'm playing? I'm playing around. I'm in pain. I can't be in bed laying there. I need to get up and stretch myself because that's the only way I kind of get some relief. But anyways, they put me back and they hooked me up again, and I couldn't eat. I couldn't finish my sandwich, and I was there. And then later on, because the ER doctor at that time was thinking that was digestion, was something with my stomach. But anyways, the later on, the head of the ER at that day that was on duty came and sat down and said, I don't agree with the diagnosis of
Mhm.
my colleague, putting it, nicely. She doesn't know what she's doing.
That's okay.
And I don't know. Even the nurse, when I, did had that episode and pulled all the cables, she was kind of mad and said, "Sir, you don't do that or whatever." Blah 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 blah. And then she was right. I shouldn't have done that. But the way she was talking to me, even the older nurse pulled her to the side and said, "You don't do that with patients." I overheard what she was saying. But anyway, so they kept me in, and they said, we're going to get a room for you. But that took a while. It was the next day they gave me a room. And then, because he said, I want the cardiologist to see you. And the cardiologist that day, they do their runs around 10 o'clock in the morning. So it was already probably close to midnight. We got to wait until tomorrow morning. They come in, and then I want the cardiologist on duty to see you. So there came next day Dr. Chopin. My wife was there with me, and
Love him.
we had a room already, so we went upstairs. And first of all, he came and looked in my eyes and touched my ear right behind here. And I noticed I had some smell, and I have oily hair all the time. I always had that. And later on, I asked him, not at that time, but later, I said, Doctor, how did you find out that I had heart issues? Because he said, they trained me in school to look in your eyes. I don't know exactly what he said. He looked in my eyes. If you know that, just leave a comment. And if you're a doctor or anybody that knows about that, and my ears, especially, I remember that that's a fall smell, and especially if I didn't wash my hair for one day or two, and if I started sweating a lot, and it's like some glands back here, and he said because you have high cholesterol.
Hmm.
So, long story short, they took me in, did a catheter, and I went with the doctor. They put me, in the kind of like a surgical room, and took me away. My wife stayed behind, and they kind of take all your clothes off, shave you, and then they went through my arm and to see if they could put some stents in, because that's first thing they would do when you have a heart patient like me. But they were in for 5 minutes. I was, tied down because your arm can't move. And
Was you a little bit drowsy?
yeah, I was drowsy
Oh, I
and
see.
overhearing what they were talking about. They were talking about their day and
Life.
whatever was happening, and girlfriend wasn't doing this or that, whatever. But I overheard everything. But the thing that struck me the most was when the doctor came to my ear and looked at me and said, "Sir, there's nothing we can do. Your arteries are too clogged up." So what they detected that I had coronary artery disease, and that they were clogged, really clogged up. They could not get in because if they fuss with it, they could rupture it, and then I could bleed to death. There's no time to open me up and sew me back up, the artery. So they said the only solution is to do heart surgery. triple bypass. They didn't say
Mm-hmm.
triple because that was decided later. So, to say the least, they took me out. It was so cold in there. When I came out, it was hot, and my wife was all bubbly, so happy. Oh, you came out. What happened so quick? Blah 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 blah. She was so happy, and I was distraught. And she asked me what happened. And I said, "Ask the doctor. I cannot even fathom or think of words to tell you right now
Mm-hmm.
how I feel. It felt like a big boulder on my chest. And if my chest was hurting before, everything else was like psychologically was a big bomb. So we waited there, and they were until you can close up your artery that they open on your arm.
In the meantime, they came, they talked to me, and I couldn't believe it that they said that he needed that serious surgery. So I told them, no, 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 maybe you can do something that is less invasive. And they were kind enough to show me the video, and they gave me a class there and show me, and I was able to see how incredibly clogged their word. And they go, I don't even know why he's alive. And we really didn't know. And I want to say it's a God thing. And after um, a little while, that he was more awake, he had to make a decision because you were chosen to have a surgery that morning.
Yeah,
It just
because
happened to be,
the doctor that did the catheter, he just said, I know the surgeon. He's available. He just finished surgery, and he's in the hospitals doing his rounds, and he can come up and talk to you. So he said, yeah, we can do the surgery tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. We have an opening. And I was like, what? Kidding me? I didn't even know, I was dealing with the news that they couldn't do the stents and digest all of this because
Mm-hmm.
all of this is new to me. I mean, I've never been in this situation before. And thinking about surgery? You kidding me? So I said, okay, let me think about it. And went back to the room. And I called three people. Actually, my wife also called Yuri, which is a friend. And,
She's
you
a
know,
sister to us. You know
yeah,
those friends that become family members?
yeah, she came and she prayed for us. And
With her precious husband. They drop
yeah,
everything.
because this is a decision that is really hard to make, and we prayed and everything, and she said either way is going to be okay. You can do surgery or you can stay the way you are. You make your choice.
And I don't want no misunderstanding when people say, well, was she a doctor?
No.
No, she's not. But we believe in the power of prayer. And this friend of ours, um, she's a God chaser. And every time we pray together, we see God doing things. And for those of you that don't have that connection, oh my goodness, I hope we encourage you for you to do that, because in this world, we can live two ways. We can live on Satan's script, or we can live in God's scriptures. And those are hard friends to find, but they really honor the scriptures. And we love to rely more on the scriptures than on the script. And my husband is right. This was a very important moment in our lives. We needed to make very serious decisions, and I think I was surprised, and he was able to comprehend more than I did. And he was like, "No, I'm not having the surgery." I don't know if he was doing it to delay it, but it was. I need to make a will.
I wasn't sure.
I need to make a will. I had to do this, and we're like, what? We're talking about your life. I mean, you have the surgery, and then this is incredibly something that we want you to care for. So at that moment in time, he um, he had to swallow the pill of having to decide. And when she prayed, we have peace that passes all understanding. And he decided to have it. And then what happened after that surgery?
No, I still have to share two more people that I called
True, true.
to make a decision and what exactly happened and transpiring. Going back to your point about the will and all that stuff, we didn't have a will, and I was worried about my wife. If I, you know, something happened to me in surgery, because was a 7-hour surgery. So even though there's successful rates, in this type of surgery, and I'm relatively young, but I'm thinking if I go, I'll be in a good place.
You don't drink, you don't
Yeah, I
smoke,
don't
so you
drink,
had
I
a
don't
lot of
smoke.
things in
Yeah,
your favor.
I don't have diabetes, which
Mm-hmm.
is a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but also, if I'm gone, I'm gone. I'll be in a good place. I believe in heaven. I believe that the Lord Jesus Christ provided that for me and forgave my sins, and I'll be gone to a better place. But she will stay behind and has to deal with all the stuff. And I was the only breadwinner at that time. But anyways, I also called a friend, a plumber that I knew,
Tom.
Tom. Thank you, Tom. Uh, and I explained to him what's happening, and I thought he was gonna talk me out of it. I was not ready to do surgery, but then he said, "No, no, I had surgery. I was younger than you when I had my first surgery, and I am really, really good. I feel good, and you should do it. If they say you should do it, go ahead and do it." I said, "Oh boy, don't like this." And then I called a client of mine who is today he is a professor at Harvard. He's a doctor. He's a cardiologist, but he is more like a teacher than he doesn't. Uh,
I'm a surgeon.
he's not a surgeon or either a cardiologist as a practitioner, whatever you call it. But he's more like a doctor. He had a school here at that time in Miami, private school that he would teach students on how to use certain machines and stuff like that. Then I explained to him, and he just asked me what exactly they told you, and I explained to him in the best way I could, and he said, "Go ahead and do it. If they're saying you should do it, you should do it." I was like, "Darn, two strikes," and I was like. Then that took me a day to decide because I
Yeah.
forfeited I needed to tell the surgeon that
Yeah.
I was gonna do this line up for the surgery next morning, and it was too late because I had to make these phone calls. I thought about it, and then they said, "Oh, you're too late for tomorrow. We can do it the day after." So I bought myself another extra day in the hospital. But anyway, so we just decided to go ahead and do it. But at that point, we went ahead and did the surgery, right? And they decided that I had to do triple bypass. That's what I had to do. So that takes about 7 hours, and took 7 hours. Took a little more, preparation, everything once you get out of there. So I had a little episode, and I want to tell this to people to know. If you ever have open heart surgery, I don't know in many other cases, any other surgeries, but in this case, they infuse a pipe inside of your throat, and you breathe through that.
Mm.
And I came out, and I was sitting in a position that basically I was a sack of potato. I couldn't move myself, and it was so painful in my back. And they just had removed. Did they have removed it, or I still had it when you came?
I I know that. Thank God that you talked to Tom. He gave us some tips, and it was about giving you ice, not water, ice after they removed it. But they never told us that you couldn't speak. So you wanted to communicate with us,
Yeah,
and we didn't have a notebook or
because
pencil.
I lost my voice,
You'd lose your voice.
and I wanted to tell my wife, please just
Yes.
move me up, pick me up a
Or
little bit,
anybody.
because I was, in the backing of the seat. I was kind of like leaning backward, and it was putting a lot of pressure on my back. All I wanted to be straightened out so I could sit upright, and I could not say a word. So I recommend, if you ever go through this, husband or wife, have a pad and so
With pencil,
a pencil, because I
ice.
was trying. Nobody could understand me, and there was a little girl that they put up there to watch me, and she just kind of said like, "What did you say? Shut up," or
No,
something.
We didn't know, of course. Back in those days, they allow you to go in different areas of the hospital. This is many years ago. 11 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got out of surgery, we happened to be in one of the amazing hospitals here in Miami. It's called Baptist, Main Baptist, we call it, because it's the first one that came up. And they have amazing staff. I mean, who wants to talk about this these days, because doctors are getting a bad rap and many things are happening. But this happened to be one of the best hospitals in Miami. And they were training this precious little girl, and she was becoming impatient. And she wanted, when he has wires, that surgery is so serious, and that tube in his mouth, they needed to take it out. So they had given him some instructions. Of course, I wasn't there when that was happening. I just walked in when it happened, and he was not understanding, or he just came out of surgery,
I was in
anesthesia,
pain.
and but he was in pain.
my
And
my cut that they cut my sternum right here. It wasn't hurting, but the back was hurting.
so what happened was, they needed to remove that from his mouth so the recuperation starts coming. But of course, she's young, and she's not
Inexperienced.
and yes, and she gave him some type of an instruction, and he did not comply, because I think he was still druggy. I mean, he wasn't completely up. And when I walk in, she says, "Oh, come on, suck it up." I find that kind of and yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Puerto Rican. I looked at her and I said, if something happens to him, it's not going to be good for you. So get out of the room. Get out. And there is a precious older nurse who came, and I said, I wouldn't want her. I don't want her near my husband. I don't want her near him. And she asked her to leave. And that nurse came and immediately was able to do it, whatever it was, and it was done. And I never knew how painful and also that dangerous. That's what they put in your mouth. And if you have somebody in that staff that doesn't know how to intubate you and remove that tube, it could be very dangerous. So we learned that, and we're telling you that in closing on this video today, because we're going to tell you the financial part of it in the third video of what happens once you are the only breadwinner, what happens according to the state you live in, and what happened for recuperation. Because we don't want to make this video long, and we have a third video coming up, and I know you don't like to cut off, but he needs to learn.
No, we're gonna finish. There's some things that were left out. I had a draining pipes coming out of me that were taken out later, and also the awesome thing that was done, because you have a surgery for 3 days, you can't shower.
Oh.
And the best thing that happened to me, it was the first shower I had.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. And then they did triple bypass. They took one vein out of my groin, from my groin to my knees, and then rediverted the mammary veins to the heart. So I had triple bypass. And the next episode, you're gonna hear more about what happened afterwards and up to this point, what I'm at right now. Correct. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching us.
Yes, we see you on the third episode. Thank you.